Okay, here's Rebecca as well. So just to say, Sylvia, if we do, because we will be a little bit on the knees, is it helpful to have padding under the knees, or it's you just can't bend the knee at all?
I can bend the knee. It's just I can't really sit on it. I can't really.
Okay, okay, so we won't.
Bending is fine.
Okay.
I can put some
okay,
padding underneath and see how it is. But
great.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay. So hi, Rebecca. We're going to begin now. So we're going to start at the back edge of our mat. And we're going to do quite a bit of full length body toning is the best way to do it. Most of the work we're doing this evening or this afternoon is going to be familiar. I just thought this is the sequence I wanted to do today. So I'd like us to start in child's pose, Balasana, but we're not going to be long here, okay? So come down, rest the forehead down, rest your arms down by your side. And connecting with the breath, connecting with the atmosphere around you. I'll just make sure everybody's in silence there. Yeah. That's okay, Rebecca, I'll put you into silence as well. That's it. And connecting with the body, okay? In a general sense of your energy and sense of tension, relaxation in the body. In general terms, whole body awareness. Connecting with the breath. On your next inhale, I want you to take your arms forwards into the long arm child's pose. Exhaling, grounding the palms. Inhale, coming into all fours, tucking your toes under, separating the knees about hip width, and then we're going to dip down through 8-point pose. So you're bringing your chin close to the floor, chest close to the floor, sweeping through into a low back bend, Bhujangasana. So we're going kind of straight into it today. Exhale, release down to the floor. Inhale, back up into all fours. Exhale up into dog pose. So we're going to do this little sequence a few times. So it's like a floor-based sun salutation vinyasa from the floor, coming up through some of the sun salutation poses, but we're not come up into full standing. Inhale, coming into all fours. Exhale, release back to child's pose. Take your arms back. Brief pause there. Reconnecting with your breath. Inhale, the arms come forwards, lengthening through the arms. Exhale, ground the palms. Inhale into all fours, tucking your toes under knees and feet hip width. As you dip down, keep the elbows close into your body, chin forwards, sweeping through into a low back bend. So gentle with the back on the forearms here, taking the gaze forwards, even a little bit up, extending through the tops of the legs to the tops of the feet. Exhale, releasing down, grounding your palms, all fours. Inhale. Exhale back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So in Adho Mukha Svanasana, lengthening from the palms back to the sitting bones, lining up your head with the upper arms. If you can, opening the backs of the legs, allowing the heels to descend. It's worth keeping a little bit of space between the floor and the heels, just as a sense of movement in the pose, as a sense of moving down into space. So once the heels are on the floor, it becomes more fixed. So it's just worth keeping the heels slightly lifted. So if that is the case, your heels are coming down, take your feet further back. Inhale into all fours. Exhale, drop back into child's pose. Pause there. Releasing. Forehead touching the floor, backs of the hands on the floor. Breathing. I'm going to do this little sequence 6 times. Inhale, take the arms forwards. 3rd time now. Exhale, grounding your palms. Inhale. All fours, feet and knees hip width, tucking the toes. And then dipping down. So elbows staying close into your body. As it were, brushing the chin along the floor. Coming into Bhujangasana. Bhujangasana on the forearms. Allowing the front of the body to lengthen from the pubic bone through to the throat, even lifting the gaze, being aware of what's happening in your neck. You want to go for a broad upper back, broad across the shoulders, tops of the shoulders even. Lengthening from the pubic bone through to the tops of the feet, to the front of the legs. Feels like it's lengthening. The gluteals lightly engaged. Exhale, releasing down. Inhale, all fours, tucking the toes, back into dog pose. Grounding your palms, lifting back towards the sitting bone, sense of dynamic legs. So the legs are engaged, the heels are descending. Inhale into all fours. Exhale, drop back into child's pose, sweeping the arms back briefly. Pause, just for a couple of breaths. Reconnecting with the whole body. Inhale into hands forwards, exhaling, grounding the palms. Inhaling all fours, tucking the toes under. Knees and feet hip width. So we're dipping through the 4th time now. 8-point pose and releasing through into Bhujangasana, lengthening through the front of the body, opening the chest. It also could be called like an active Sphinx pose. Lengthening through the front of the body, extension of the spine. Exhale, release down. Inhale, all fours. Exhale, dog pose. Breathing now, checking in on your neck. So this sense of broadening across the shoulders that we were doing in the Bhujangasana, in the Cobra pose or Sphinx pose, if you can bring that broadening into the dog pose, it's a different position. There's a sense of widening across the tops of the shoulders, even a sense of broad across the back of the shoulders, wide across the collarbones. Inhale, all fours. Exhale, release back, child's pose. Pause there, 2 or 3 breaths. Surrendering to the floor. Relaxing the head and the neck and the shoulders. Exhale. Inhale the arms forwards. Exhaling, rounding palm. Inhale, all fours. Tucking the toes under, dropping through. 8-point pose. Into Bhujangasana. 5th visit to the pose. Lengthening through the front of the body. So it's a gentle repetition. So it allows your body to warm up. Also gives you a chance to observe your body doing the same thing again and again, how it changes. Through that familiarity, revisiting. Exhale, releasing down. Inhale, all fours, back into dog pose. Opening the backs of the legs. Grounding the palms. You can explore taking weight more towards the outer edges of the hands, which might help keep a sense of breath across the tops of the shoulders. If you notice, if you press a lot into the thumb and forefinger, you create tension around the base of the neck. Whereas if you take the weight into the outer hand, like the ring finger and little finger, it allows you to broaden the roots of the neck. Inhale, all fours. Exhale, child's pose. Relax the head down. Release the arms. Connecting also in with your emotions, mind state. Noticing how your mood. So even though it's going to be a more active class, it doesn't mean that we're not connecting with our heart, mind, with chitta. Inhale the arms forwards, grounding your palms. Exhale. Inhale all fours. Last visit to 8-point pose. So this time we're going to pause in the 8-point pose. You come down just above the floor, hovering there. Try and keep the elbows tucked in. So it's not a particularly pleasant pose, this one. Let's face it, it's demanding on the upper body, keeping the hips lifted. Can even be an awkward position, elbows tucked in, and then release. Releasing into Bhujangasana, lengthening from the front of the pelvis all the way through the gaze, taking the gaze up. Breathing there. Exhale, releasing down. All fours, tucking the toes under, and coming into dog pose. This time I'd like to bring your feet together so the big toes are touching. Project back and up your right leg or your left leg. It's up to you. So you're making the body long. It's a long distance between the hands and the lifting leg. And then on a long step forward, you bring this foot forwards, go into the low lunge. So you might want to put some padding under the back knee. Okay, though we're not going to be here for very long. Okay, so as we inhale, I want you to bring the left arm up. If your left foot is back, hook the left arm across and come into a revolving lunge. Breathing now. We're not going to be doing much work from standing poses this week. I just wanted to work a little bit into the pelvis as a sort of balance to the as it were, core and toning work. Exhale, releasing down. Step back. Dog pose with both big toes together. Dropping the heels towards the floor. They may not meet the floor yet. So I'm going to lift my other leg up, which is my right leg, left leg. So yeah, here I do notice my heel is coming down. Okay. It's more intense on the supporting leg. So projecting through the back, the lifting leg. Grounding the palms, long step forwards to a low lunge. We're not going to be here for very long. So bringing your left hand onto the left knee, take your right arm up, reach up, and then we're going to cross into the revolving twist. Taking the gaze down towards the floor, perhaps, or even behind you, but being attentive to the neck, keeping the neck as neutral as possible. So we are going to work a little bit into the pelvis. We've been focusing on that the last couple of sessions that I've done. Breathing there. From here, exhaling. Palms coming down. Step back into dog pose. Separating the feet now. And come into all fours. Yeah, if you want to put padding under the knees, that's fine. I'm going to come do a little bit of work in all fours. You just want to check that you can reach in front of you and reach behind you. Okay, I've got the wall fairly close here, so I'm just checking, okay? So as we're going to do a very simple cat-cow. So as we exhale, drawing the belly in, looking back on the inhale, taking the gaze forwards, lengthening through the front of the body. Exhale, repeat this cat-cow movement. Maybe playing with the distance between the knees, between the hands. Looking for a smooth transition between these two positions. Okay, and then from there now, on an exhale, I want you to bend up your left knee, and on the inhale, reach back. Okay, we're going to do that 5 times. Exhale, bend up your left knee, inhale, reach forwards with the right hand, exhale, right hand down, bend up the left knee. 3, reach out, exhale, ground the palm. 4, exhale, 5th time. And on the inhale, reach out and pause. So we'll create what's generating quite a bit of heat. And it's already quite hot here. But this sequence will generate quite a bit of heat. Breathing now. And exhale down or force. We'll do the same on the opposite side. So just working, the right leg bends up. Taking the head towards the knee and inhale, extend. Left hand forwards, right leg back. Exhale, ground the palm. Picking up the right knee. Inhale, reaching out. Exhale, pick up. Right leg. 4. 5th. Pick up, inhale. Extending and holding the pose down. You can lengthen from the back foot to the forward hands, pelvis more or less level, the gaze slightly down. Breathing now. And then when we're ready, grounding both palms, all fours, and take a pause down into child's pose. Releasing the head down, backs of the hands to the floor. Releasing the shoulders. If resting into child's pose is not restful, do sit back onto your feet. That's fine also. Okay. So we're going to do a variation of this, which is a little bit more intense. So inhaling, taking your hands forwards. Exhale, ground the palms. Inhaling to all fours. Again, separate your feet and knees a little bit. So you can do this with the feet and knees together, which is slightly easier. Okay. If you separate, you're having to work harder to keep the pelvis level. Okay. So the only difference here is we cup the lifting knee. So as we exhale, pick up your left knee and cup with the right hand. Inhale, extend out. Same as before, repeat 5 times. Exhale, pick up and cup your left knee. Inhale, reach out and cup. 3 times. Inhale, reach out and cup. 4. Inhale, reach out and 5. Inhale, reach out and hold. Breathe there. Lengthening from the back foot to the forward hand. I'm turning my palm into the center line, my right palm into the center line. You can tuck your back toes under or have the top of the foot on the floor. Keeping the pelvis more or less level. Back leg as straight as you can. Exhale, release down. Take a pause there. Hip width apart the knees. And the toes either tucked under or not, it's up to you. Good try changing that. And we'll do the same on the opposite side. So we pick up the right leg, cup with the left hand. Inhale, reach out. 1. 2, 3, 4. Fifth extension, holding there, lifting away from the floor. Try and keep your right palm grounded. Left hand reaching forwards, right leg reaching back. Simple pose, but surprisingly strong. Full length. Toning of the body. And release down. All fours. Take a pause into child's pose. And breathe there. Releasing to the floor completely. Relaxing the neck. Releasing the breath. Allowing the body to cool down, although it is going to be generating quite a bit of heat with this sequence. On your next inhale, palms forwards, exhaling, grounding the palms. Inhale into all fours. So we're going to come into the famous plank pose. So exhale, come up into dog pose. Okay, so we're going to do what's called the high plank. So my feet are, again, hip width. Okay, so we're aiming to bring shoulders, hips, and ankles into one line on the inhale. So we swing forwards, bring the body into line. Exhale, we move back into dog pose, heels moving towards the floor. Repeat 5 times. Inhale, 2. Exhale, moving back. Inhale, 3. Exhale. Inhale, 4. I think I'm miscounting here. That's okay. 5 is kind of 5 or 6, 7, depending. Okay, we're going to hold now for a few breaths. So again, arms firm, palms grounded. Try not to let the hips drop strongly. If you're in doubt, lift the hips a little bit. Breathe there. Feeling the, as it were, the power of this pose, intense. Dropping to the knees. Rest back into child's pose. Allow the arms to sweep back. Completely surrendering the arms to the floor. Or if it's more restful for you, let the arms be forward. Even rest the forehead on the hands. Breathing. Okay, so from here, we're going to do, as it were, a low plank from, which could also be called like dolphin. And we have done this before. This is kind of one of my favorite upper, back, shoulder movements. So I think I'm going to try and change, if this is going to help change the angle. So we're going to start with the, you just check what I'm doing with the hands. So I'm going to make elbows shoulder width apart. Bring the index finger touching. Just make that really clear. Index fingers touching, thumbs crossing. Okay, so what that does is inward rotation of the arms, which for most people, not everybody, is easier. Okay, because the challenge is to do the external rotation because you have to work more strongly the deltoids to make that happen. Okay, so we'll start with the index fingers touching, and then we'll come down to, as it were, all fours, but on the forearms with that diamond shape in the, okay, so change around. It's gonna need a cameraman as well, or a camera person. Okay, so you're making the triangle. So one guide for this, which for most people helps, I think, is bringing the elbows slightly narrower than the shoulders. My index fingers grounded, touching at the the inner index finger, thumbs crossing. Tucking the toes under, and I push back. Head is not touching the floor. And I'm pushing through the forearms and lifting back, okay? That's dolphin. Well, it's, yeah, you could call it dolphin. Dolphin maybe would be defined as the movement, but we'll come to that, okay? It's like preparation for a fantastic pose called Pincha Mayurasana, peacock pose. So keep promising to do. You do need some wall space to do that. Just feel a bit challenging wanting to do that online, but I think we will come to it before the summer. There we go, there's a promise. So before the end of July, we'll do the peacock pose. Okay, releasing down. Take a pause there, whatever position is restful, sitting on the feet or back into child's. So the second position with the hands. So this is where a brick is useful, or a book, or a brick, or a block. So what we're going to do, I'll just show you on the camera, is so we've had the hands like that. So we're going to start to make the hands open, and you can do that by taking the brick like this. So I've got my index finger round one corner, the thumb round the other. So it could be more narrow, or you could use one of those cork blocks as well. Okay, so we'll set up again, and you choose. Okay, the width. So I'm going to go for the wider position. So actually, using the foam brick, my hands now are as wide as the elbows. I've got the support of the brick there. Okay, so thumb is tucking around one corner, the index finger around the other corner, and lifting once again. In this position, it's much harder to straighten the legs, so you can relax about that idea. It's really much harder to straighten the legs here. I mean, you can work on that if you want, but I'd say it's more interesting trying to get a sense of lift from the forearms through the shoulder area, which is really getting challenged, to the sitting bones. So staying in contact with the breath, feeling the challenge in the pose. This is upper body work again, working through the core, whole body, toning, and releasing down. Take a pause there, discard the brick for now. And the third position, so this time we're going to do the pose. So the idea now is to bring the forearms parallel. So you can spread the fingers, of course. Forearms parallel, and they stay parallel. They might want to drift in towards each other, but see if you can resist that by grounding from the elbow all the way down the inner forearm to the wrist, through the palm, into the hand. So you can spend a little bit of time lining yourself up, okay? So the elbows and wrists in line. You notice the wrists want to pop up. So see if you can drop the wrists. There's a certain quality of relaxing in the wrist, actually, and then lengthening through the wrist to ground the palm. So the weight is actually going into the forearms, elbows, palms. Okay, so when we're ready, we're going to lift up and breathe there. See if you can keep the whole forearm grounded. And then just lengthen your base a little bit. So you slide your feet back. Okay, so it's like a longer base position. And then on an inhale, we're going to swing forwards, come into the low plank as much as we can. And then exhale, move back. So you can walk your feet towards you. And then swing down on the inhale. Probably 3 is going to be enough for these. Exhale, lifting. Inhale, going down. And one more time coming up. Breathing there and then taking a pause. Okay, release there. Release the head down. You can rest the head on the hands or the floor with the arms back. Reconnecting with the breath. Okay, the breath does get more labored with these more demanding poses, but do completely rest there for a few breaths. Good. So that's dolphin. So let's just try that dolphin movement again. So I'm gonna let you decide, which hand position you take. So what we just did was the forearms parallel, but you could try with the fingertips back together again, or with the brick. So I'll let you decide, but we're gonna repeat the dolphin movement. So it's where we're coming up and going down. So I'm gonna try myself with a narrow brick, which should be a little bit easier actually. And lifting up on the exhale, on an inhale, so I probably need to lengthen the base, so swing down, the plank, exhale, swing back up. We'll do that 2 or 3 times. The head is not touching the floor. It's all right to lengthen the base out. You're probably going to need to do that 2 or 3 times, and then take a rest into child's pose, surrendering to the floor. From there, coming up, sitting up now. So just going to have a change, brief change of rhythm there. So I want you to bring your feet in front of you to make the diamond shape with the legs. So just going to bring, as it were, the energy back down into the pelvis. This is a yin style pose. So I want you to make a diamond shape. So deliberately bringing your feet quite a long way forwards. Okay, and extend your arms up. And we're going to tip forward. So coming into a very soft flexion. So if you've got the flexibility, fine, you can take your forearms underneath your shins. But I really don't want you to fight in this pose. It's very much just a chance to pause. So going for the easiest option and allowing your body to rest forwards. Feeling the work on the hip rotators, probably the groins, the lower back. Relaxing the arms. Again, connecting in with the whole body. Also tuning in with a sense of your mood. Asking yourself how you are. And remembering that we can always greet ourselves with, as it were, some amount of friendliness. Even if we're in a kind of ratty mood, you can kind of greet that ratty person with a bit of friendliness. It's okay. You can let them in. Breathing now. Okay, and on inhale coming up, we're going to go straight into another yin style pose. If we can, I'd like to thread your left leg underneath. So this Sylvia will see what it's like on your knees. Left leg underneath, right leg over the top, the shoelace pose. If that's not going to work for you, looks like it's okay there, yeah. What I wanted to do is actually take some work into the upper back as well. So this is very grounding for the pelvis, sitting bones. So I should have said this before, shouldn't I, to have a belt handy. But we're going to take the right hand around the back of the body. And then the left hand goes up And we see if we can bring the fingertips together. Okay, so if that's not going to happen, I'm just going to unwind. I should have said this before. So I've got my right leg on top. So if you're going to use a belt, you put it over the left shoulder. So the right hand once again going up the back, taking hold of the strap. Left hand going up and reaching there. So you may find that some tightness round. It's quite typical if you're right-handed to have the right shoulder tighter. This side is going to be more difficult to do for most people. Breathing there, allowing the body to arrive in the pose. We can close the eyes for a few moments. Working gently. Taking the left elbow up, the right elbow into the center line. Lengthening through the spine. Okay, and then releasing the strap. Releasing the arms. Unwinding the legs for a moment. Open the backs of the legs. And switch sides. So now my left leg is on top. Just going to change my direction. So my left leg is on top. And I'm going to take the left hand around the back of the body. Okay. So you can use your right hand to guide that in. And then the right hand goes up. And then again, I see if I can connect. If I can't, well, the strap goes over the right shoulder. And I can get hold of the strap, which makes the pose a little bit more accessible. The emphasis is really on allowing the weight to sink down to the sitting bones and then grow the spine. Connecting with the breath. Connecting with just a point of stillness, although it's an intense pose. We're static, we're seated. Breathing now. Closing the eyes just for a moment. Connecting with what's going on in your experience. It could be quite alive, quite dynamic, even though it's a outwardly very static pose. There's a lot going on in this pose. In terms of working the pelvis, deep work into the pelvis, deep work into the shoulders. It's not surprising the pose is going to feel intense. And releasing the arms first, then letting your weight drop back, extending your legs out in front of you. And once again, coming into all fours. I'm going to build up a little sequence here, which again, this will be probably familiar to you, based on Vasisthasana. So it's the side plank pose, but the first one is really easy. So this comes from a kind of Pilates type movement. So I want you to take your left foot out. You can even turn the left foot out, so it's definitely grounded. And the left foot is more or less in line with the right knee. Okay, and then I'm going to bring my right hand underneath the right shoulder. I'm going to turn to my left. It should be fairly easy. If you want, you can take your left foot slightly further back. I'm going to suggest we keep the top arm down in all of these poses. Okay, so you can extend the top arm up, but I'm going to suggest we keep the top arm down just to make it less intense on the neck and shoulders. Okay. Exhale, releasing down, come into all fours. And extend your right leg out to the side. I'm going to take it slightly further back just because of the wall here. You can even bring the right leg in line with the left leg. So you come into one plane. but we'll keep it really easy to begin with. Left hand underneath the left shoulder, turning to the right, lifting, lengthening through the waist area. Your left knee on the floor. Right leg is acting as a counterbalance or as a stabilizer even. So both sides of the waist long. Top arm down, you can look forwards or even look up. Okay, then releasing down. Coming into all fours. From all fours, so this often is difficult to communicate over the camera. So I'm just gonna try a couple of times to do it. Okay, so come up into dog pose. So I want you to turn your left heel in and down. So your left foot is not parallel with it's turned out, okay? So just grab that again. My left heel comes down, okay? More or less in the center of the mat. And then I place the top of my right foot on top of the left foot, okay? So it's like the ankles are gently coming towards each other. And then I'm gonna swing round and look down. So the top of my right foot is facing the floor, but the left foot is the weight is the kind of stabilizing, and the weight is going into my right arm. Okay, and releasing down and back into dog pose. Just wondering if I can just adjust the camera and show that slightly, some of the footwork there. Is it going to be worth the effort to do that? I think it is probably worth the effort. So on the other side, okay, so I'm going to, hopefully this will, you'll be able to see. Okay, so we're in dog pose. So I'm now going to turn the right foot, as I'm turning it out, parallel to the short edge of the mat. Obviously I don't turn it completely out. And then the top of the left foot comes down towards the floor, towards the right foot. I'll just say that again. Dog pose. Right foot turns out. Top of the left foot comes towards the floor. And then I swing round, looking down. Weight going into the left arm. Breathing there. Everything's shaking. It's this kind of intense side plank. Vasisthasana. Breathing there. When you're ready, back to dog pose, into all fours, and we'll take a pause into child's pose. Good. Breathe out. Okay. We're going to now come into the more classical Vasisthasana. So this is where we're, as it were, balancing on the outer edge of the foot. So coming up into all fours, dog pose. So now I'm going to turn on and place the edge of my right foot on the floor, the toes somewhat coming towards the front end of the mat, and then bring the feet together and swing round. Again, the left arm can be down. It's like I'm doing Tadasana, sort of keeled over. Breathing now. I'd suggest looking down so it's easier on your neck. You can also be more aware of what your arm is doing. When you're ready, swinging round, dog pose. And let's come to the other side. So the outside of the left foot is meeting the floor. And feet together. I'm going for quite a long base. Right hand rests on the right hip. Breathing there. Making the side plank Vasisthasana classical shape. And when you're ready, coming out. Dog pose and take a pause. Or fours, child's pose. Or sitting back on the feet, take a rest, allow your breath to come back to quiet. Allowing the arms to release. And breathing now. And then there is an interesting, which we have done a few weeks ago, an interesting version of this. So I want you to turn, so the right side of your body is facing the floor, and my right forearm is down now. This is it's almost as though you're just resting down onto one side. Okay, so my legs are folded up. My shins more or less parallel to the back edge of my mat, the short back edge of my mat. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to swing up. It's kind of easy actually, but it's powerful and toning. So we swing up, so the knees, the hips, and the shoulders come into line. And then let's try reaching up now. If it's not okay on your neck, then do look down. So my weight is going into my right forearm and my legs, particularly my right lower leg. Should be able to sustain this longer. Like you're kind of propping yourself up on your right side. Okay, breathing now. Looking down. So this is very good for creating strength and stability and sort of correcting lower back issues. I can really feel this beneficial in my own body. Okay, releasing down. And very simply, all four switching sides. So I'll just show you that, as it were, from the back. So my left forearm, so I'm not trying to line up. I'm just placing my left forearm comfortably. So I'm not trying to line it up with the long edge or the short edge. It's actually at an angle, sort of 45 degrees, 50 degrees. My shins together, hips are on the floor at the moment, but I'm going to lift the pelvis off the floor, playing with the distance between the forearm and the shins. And then we're going to now reach up through the right arm and look for a sense of just staying there a little bit longer. Sense of stability. Breath, probably going to be shorter. Looking down if it's not okay in the neck. Breathing there. This is working down into the sort of postural muscles, the spine, pelvic spine connection. Again, it's like full body tone, full length, toning the whole body. And then releasing the hips down, swinging around carefully to all fours, and we'll just sit back for a moment into sitting on the feet. Not going to be there for very long. What I'd like you to do now is to see if you can make a chair could be handy here. I just got rid of the chair from this room, but otherwise a pile of stuff, a pile of bricks, or it could be the edge of a chair. I'm going to use a few bricks and my bolster. So you just want a ledge, create a ledge. So again, you've seen this before, I'm sure. So we're going to bring the elbows onto the support, okay, which could be the edge of a chair. And we're going to walk your knees back and then just rest the forehead on the support. Okay, this is the first position. And allow your upper body to hang just a little bit. So personally, I don't like to go into this too quickly, too strongly. So I'm actually holding back a little bit and creating a little bit of abdominal tone and lifting the chest towards the ceiling a bit. But as the shoulder area opens up, I can allow the chest to, as it were, sag more towards the floor, okay? Coming more into, you could say, an extension of the spine, but my forehead is supported at this stage. Obviously, you could put padding under the knees, you can separate the knees. Again, a more passive pose here. Attentive to what's going on in your neck. Once your body gets used to it, you can allow the pelvis to tip forwards, antevert, and you can allow the chest to hang down. So just being sensitive to what's going on in your spine as you start to, as it were, sink into the pose. So it's pulling, it's like creating a passive lengthening, stretching on the structures around the shoulder, or the spine, the whole spine, in fact, front of the body as well. And then from there, carefully lifting the chest up. Just have a pause for a moment in the upright position. I'm going to go back into that, but this the second time we're going to allow the head to drop through the arms, if that's possible. So in your own time, setting yourself up so the elbows about shoulder width. This time, allow the head, if it can, go through. You don't want the head touching the floor, of course. You do need enough support that it's high enough that the head's free. And just try this out. If this doesn't work for you, go back to the first position. This is, again, knees can be hip width apart or together. I quite like to have the hips slightly behind the knees to create a sense of lengthening down the spine. And I'm sort of passively stretching out the front of the body, around the shoulders. And now more working into the neck. Connecting with the breath. So the forearms, I'm taking out more or less towards the vertical, but you could actually extend them forwards or even extend them back. So you could play with different hand positions. And when you're ready, when you feel like you've had enough in there, so it's more intense, I suppose, just sufficiently, as it were, cooked. Again, drawing the belly up, chest up, carefully coming out. And we'll just discard any equipment that we're using to one side. Okay, so yeah, I have got a little surprise here at the end. So, yeah, this is going to be like a rather demanding finale. So, actually, I've got no idea what time it is. Oh my God. Oh, we're fine. Okay, good. So, what we're going to do is have a go at a couple of hand balances. Okay, so I don't know if one is easier than the other, to be quite honest. So one is called Bekasana, the other one's called Ujipidasana, something like that. So we're going to have a go at Bekasana, which I think is the crane. So we come into, I'll just show it actually. So actually I'm going to come into it, as it were, on all fours. My hands slightly wider than the shoulders. And the idea is to bring the inner knees high up onto the upper arms, okay? And I'm looking to balance for a moment on one foot. So it's quite a compact pose. I'm letting my weight drop into the hands and then on the other foot. And then I'm going to try lifting both feet. So there's a danger of like going head first here and just posing there for a moment. Okay, so let's just have a go at that. Okay, so I'm in all fours. And I'm bringing my knees towards the upper arms. You definitely want them above the line of the elbow. And I'm bringing the knees in and to the outer arm. I'm allowing my weight to drop in to the hands. Just see what happens there. I'm going to have a look, if you don't mind. Okay. Yeah, that's it. You can just practice with taking one foot off the floor and then the other foot off the floor rather than going to the full thing. And we're trying to bring the knees as high as possible. Okay, good. Okay, let's try the other one, okay, which somehow feels safer because the only likelihood is you're going to fall backwards. So we come up into all fours again. We take the feet wider. And then you take your hands behind you. I'm taking them behind me and round the feet. I'm dropping my weight into the hands again, dropping the sitting bones down. And seeing if I can lift the feet off the floor. So you want to bring the hands together. So the danger is you'll fall to your sitting bones, which is okay. So it's this kind of monkey yoga. So you're taking your hands behind you and allowing the upper arms to support the backs of the upper legs. And just allow yourself to go down. Okay, so I'm not looking. That requires a little bit of practice. So you want to bring gradually the feet towards each other and the hands close together. Just try that one more time. So the hands go through the legs, round the outside. Bring your feet in. So my hands are about mat width. Okay, and then I'm allowing the weight to drop into the hands. Feet come off the floor and I go down. Eventually you can cross the feet, hook the feet together. There's one more go. One more go. Okay. Bodhiyoga-22. And let's see if you can bring your feet close together, hands underneath the shoulders. See if we can cross the feet. And release down. Okay, from there, I like to get some support. Okay, so it could be a bolster, could be 2 or 3 bricks, and we're going to lie down into semi-supine. Allow your spine to meet the floor, because we've done a lot of work today moving away from the floor, so we're not going to really surrender to the floor. I like to bring a bolster or some bricks, foam bricks, underneath the pelvis, so the hips are slightly higher than the shoulders. Okay, I'm going to pause there for a moment, allowing the lower spine to lengthen out. You can rest the backs of the hands onto the full backs of the arms, and then we're going to raise one leg, then the other, coming up into Viparita Karani. Just a gentle inversion here, neck long, allowing the waist to be long, allowing your weight to drop through the back of the pelvis into your support. Allowing the breath to become quiet, neck to release, arms to release. So you could even do this using a wall, where you rest your legs into a wall. But here we're just doing it freestanding with as lightly as possible, balancing your legs over the hips. From there, I'm going to bring one leg down. Bring the other leg down, and I'm going to move, if you've got a bolster, moving the bolster down behind the backs of the legs. If you've got bricks, if it works for you, I'd like you to lift the backs of the legs a little bit off the floor, or you could put some bricks and then a blanket so it's a bit softer. But coming into Shavasana, okay, so lying down. If you're likely to get cool, then do put another layer on, okay? So I'll just give you a minute to set yourself up into Shavasana. Once we come down to the floor, remembering we want to just slightly lengthen out the lower waist, so you take your pelvis towards your feet, slightly broaden the upper back so you can embrace yourself, and slightly lengthen the neck. It's as though it's almost like you're taking very lightly the base of the skull away from the feet, just sort of lengthening the neck, just creating a little bit of space where the sort of occipital area, where the neck and the skull meet. And then we're resting into the floor and completely surrendering to the floor. So we've done relatively active session, emphasizing working physically, muscle body, toning of the whole length of the body. So like just for the last few moments of this session, completely surrender to the floor. So allow the arms to be heavy. Allow the legs to be heavy. Allow the pelvis to be heavy. Allow the chest, where the belly and the chest to be heavy. And allow the head to be heavy. So everything is sinking towards the floor, towards gravity. And there's a sense of the back of the body melting into the floor, sense of your body spreading, melting. Blending with the earth element. Reconnecting with your breath. And once again, connecting to the whole body and the space around you. A sense of tension, relaxation in the body that we were tuning in with at the beginning of the session. Once again, reconnecting with the whole body and the space that you're in, the environment. and getting a sense of your mood, how you are. It's meaningful for you, having a sense of this quality that everything is in movement, not static, not fixed. A sense everything is open. In a process of unfolding and developing what we call anicca or impermanence. And once again, anchoring your attention in the breath. For the last few moments of this session. So do feel free to stay where you are for a little bit longer, no rush. If you're going to move, remembering to start very gently, moving the fingertips and toes, moving to your right side, pausing for a moment on the right side, before sitting up. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed that. Do feel free to try it again. So we have recorded. And see you soon.